130 million, it's likely that you know a lot more of us than you expect, whether we ourselves know it yet or not. But enough with the numbers, let's talk stereotypes. Everybody thinks they know what autism is. After all, they've watched Rain Man, read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and loved Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory, so delightfully kooky. They've had their mandatory training on diversity and have combined all this into a vague sense that autistic people are out there and are different, but their understanding is usually pretty crude and ill-formed. Or at least, that's the impression I get whenever I talk to non-autistic people, either online or in the wild. They exude confidence on the subject, telling me their opinions on neurodiversity. The word, expressing the vast diversity of neurological experience that makes us human, was coined by Dr. Judy Singer in the late 1990s. Without hesitation, or seemingly any thought at all. After all, they will say smiling, aren't we all somewhere on the spectrum? The problem is, autism has gone down the same muddy, overused path that obsessive-compulsive disorder has found itself wandering down. Apparently avoiding the puddles and grouping footsteps into multiples of 4, of course. People know the folk myth, not the reality, and it's familiar enough that they deploy it casually when talking about themselves. Just one ingredient in the conversational self-diagnostic recipe. A sprinkle of obsession, a dash of compulsion, a soupçon of disorder all add a bit of flavour. I just have to have all of my pens lined up nicely and my books in alphabetical order. I'm so OCD. OCD is the overused coriander of neurology. And autism is the turmeric. Spicier, more noticeable. We're all, if these overconfident folks are to be believed, spiced up with a little pinch of autism. Just enough to make us interesting. Neurotypical people recognise just enough autism, or spectrumy, in themselves to count themselves in the club, and free to let loose with their opinions about it. What autism is, how it works, what it does, how autistic people need to be treated. And these opinions are usually entirely wrong. Not just wrong, actively harmful and even dangerous. As I write this, an American educational centre has been allowed to return to the practice of severely electrocuting their autistic child patients for misdemeanours. This stems from a complete misunderstanding about how autistic children work and how to help them. It's also utterly inhumane and disgusting. But then what's new in the treatment of autistic people? This stuff has been going on for years. This dangerously incomplete and inaccurate understanding of autism, fed annually by well-meaning but ham-fisted attempts to raise awareness by charities run by non-autistic people using language and imagery despised by the autistic community, is everywhere. Jigsaw pieces, for example, the idea of autistic people having a piece missing that can be found with sufficient care and attention is increasingly seen as unpleasantly ableist. Because of a lack of proper understanding, people go through life accidentally ignoring, belittling, mocking, and hurting actually autistic individuals whose lives and brain architecture can't be summarised in a 30-second video online or a mediocre character arc in a sitcom. All complexity and nuance are ignored, and the lives of real autistic people are brushed under the huge, thick and slightly musty carpet we call society. It feels like proper acceptance and understanding of autism are a decade away, at the very least. Until then, we're surrounded by a huge number of problems. A lack of health and social care for autistic children and adults, 1,000 cobwebbed myths to dust off and send on their way, thousands of well-meaning souls whose understanding of autism is outdated or confused. There's a very long way to go. But you are here. You have chosen to listen to this audiobook, so perhaps there's hope. Maybe we can make a start. I've been autistic all my life. Everybody with autism is the same. We don't develop it or gain it mysteriously after some routine medical intervention. We're born autistic, live autistic, and die autistic. However, and this is the key point, I've not always known that I'm autistic. In fact, this pretty crucial information about myself was completely unknown to me until late 2017. Up to that point, I'd been operating under the assumption that I was like everyone else.